Hey guys, it's good to be back. As you can probably tell by the release date of the previous Oscar Madness video, which was released over 6 months ago, editing this video wasn't easy for me. But that would be an understatement. To be brutally honest with you guys, this has been the most difficult video I've ever had to make, and there are a few reasons why. First of all, 2 weeks after the release of the Rain Man video, I became a father. My wife gave birth to our beautiful baby girl. Needless to say, that moment changed my life forever. Now she's 6 months old and I love her more than anything in the world. But of course, she also made me a much busier man than I used to be, and I was already pretty stacked. For the longest time, I just couldn't find the time or the strength to continue making videos. Another reason it took me so long is that a frickin' war broke out in my country. Yeah, for those who don't know, I live in Israel, and on October 7th we were attacked by a terrorist organization, and now we're at war. I don't really want to get into that too much in this video. All I'll say is that such a massive national tragedy, coupled with the fact that rockets are literally being fired at my house and I constantly need to grab my girl and enter a safe room, aren't the most ideal content creating conditions, to say the least. So hopefully all this explains why it took me so long. Oh wait, there is one more reason. Maybe the biggest reason of all. And that reason is, I really wasn't looking forward to watching this movie. Yes, it's true. If, after a long Oscar Madness hiatus, I had to come back to a Casablanca or Godfather or Amadeus, I doubt it would have taken me 6 months. But, as luck would have it, all the pieces fell in the wrong places. And the movie I had to come back to was Driving Miss Daisy, one of the most boring, repetitive, and uneventful Best Picture winners of all time. It took a tremendous amount of mental fortitude with everything that's been going on to sit my ass down in front of the TV, watch this movie, write a script, and edit a video. You have no idea. But I'm glad to report that I finally did it! The deed is done. It's behind me now. So let's talk about Driving Miss Daisy and finally move on with this marathon. What do you say? Driving Miss Daisy was directed by Bruce Beresford and it stars Jessica Tandy, Morgan Freeman, and Dan Aykroyd. It tells the story of an elderly Jewish woman who's too old to drive, so her son hires a black chauffeur to drive her around. And there really isn't much more than that. I'm sorry if this review isn't going to go in depth, but there honestly isn't much depth to go into. The characters interact with one another, their relationships develop very slowly over the course of the film, there are some very timid and shallow explorations of certain themes such as class and race, but unfortunately this movie didn't do almost anything for me. There's nothing in it that was offensively awful, but a part of me wishes there was. I didn't care about the characters, the film had no stakes, and the plot of the film just wasn't that interesting or exciting. If I have to give some credit to the film, I will say that the performances were pretty good. Jessica Tandy won the Best Actress award for her performance, which at 80 years old made her the oldest winner of an acting award at the time, and I'd say that win was well deserved. Morgan Freeman and Dan Aykroyd also do a great job with what they were given. Their dialogue delivery was excellent. The problem is that they simply don't have much to do, and the little they do have just isn't very interesting. The film just crawls at a snail's pace from one snooze fest of a scene to another snooze fest. There's a scene where Miss Daisy calls her son over because she believes Morgan Freeman's character is stealing from her, and well, just look at this.
I found this hidden in the garbage pail under some coffee grounds.
This scene perfectly represents the entire film for me. If that's the film's idea of dramatic tension, then you know that there's a problem. Also, can we talk about how odd the scene is? The shock soundbite that occurs when she shows that can? That just came out of absolutely nowhere. Honestly, that was pretty funny. I hoped there would be more over-the-top moments like this in the film, but alas, they never came. On a technical level, the cinematography and editing is serviceable. Nothing to write home about, but nothing terrible either. There's a nice shot with mirrors at around the hour and 17-minute mark, but that's about it in terms of creative presentation. The rest is as stale as the plot. And I'd also like to mention the score, one of the blandest, stock, forgettable musical scores I've seen yet in this marathon. Who composed this tripe? Probably some no-good nobody who didn't amount to anything in the... Hans Zimmer? Well, saying this guy improved since Driving Miss Daisy is the understatement of the century. To sum up, I might have been a bit too harsh on this movie. It isn't a dumpster fire or anything of the sort. It's a perfectly serviceable, heartwarming little drama with good performances and a few touching moments here and there, but at the same time it's also a complete nothing movie with a boring plot and dull characters that doesn't offer much value or interest to the viewers. As far as best pictures go, this is one of the least memorable and least deserving I've seen so far. With all that being said, it probably shouldn't surprise you that Driving Miss Daisy ends up in the bottom 10 of my list, at least for now. With a very shallow whimper, we bid farewell to the 80s, a decade with a few highs, but mostly lows. Let's hope the 90s makes amends and delivers a stronger list of films for us to talk about. Up next is the 63rd Best Picture winner, an epic Western film that gives us Indians, the Civil War, and of course, Kevin Costner's ass, Dances with Wolves. Check back again for the next video of DB Reviews Oscar Madness Marathon and subscribe to my channel so you won't miss a thing. Thank you all very much, and let the journey continue.